Alright, today we are back with some more heat. Alright, so previously on the channel, we created Arkham Batman smoke pellets, went to go become Spider-Man in real life, and most recently dedicated an entire video to escaping kidnapping traps like Batman. But if you couldn't already tell by the title, today we are back with +1 added to our arsenal. Because that's right, today I'm going to build the Batclaw from the Arkham Games. I mean, it's even pretty good at collecting Riddler trophies. Kind of. Alright, so before we even attempt to build this thing, I think we should take a moment to actually understand how the Batclaw works from the Arkham Games. And as a matter of fact, I dedicated an entire stream to this over on my other channel, Jafonzolo. So go subscribe to be able to see future streams like that and more. But anyway, I'm going to be using a lot of clips from that stream as reference for this video. Now, the Batclaw is one of the many gadgets Batman uses in the games, and its primary use is to mostly shoot towards targets to pull them in and or shoot towards objects to pull them down. And this is done using this attachment right here, consisting of 3 separate claws, sticks into any object or person to pull them either down or towards you. Now, a very common misconception that people actually aren't aware of, which is actually very surprising, is that the Batclaw and the grapnel gun are not the same thing. Very similar, but not the same. See, let me explain. See, now in my stream, I actually debunked this and found the attachment that he actually uses to grapple from vantage point to vantage point. Now, when you use the actual Batclaw to yank enemies and grab onto things, it's the actual claw attachment. However, when you use the grapnel gun to grab on a vantage point, we can see that consistently throughout all the games, it's not shaped like the Batclaw, but rather an actual grapple hook. So yeah, so the hook is completely different from the Batclaw, okay? So a basic hook. And I actually took both of these things into consideration whenever I made my Batclaw, because I wanted my Batclaw to be able to have some level of like grappability features. But of course, I'll get into that later. Now with that said, everything he uses like the Batclaw, the grappling hook, and the remote electric charge are merely attachments that go onto the grapnel gun. Okay, you still with me? So the gun is what launches the attachments, and the attachments are what's being launched from the gun. Okay, we good with that? So in theory, if I just designed this claw and made that simply be the video, y'all technically cannot be mad, because the Batclaw is just that, an attachment. Not the whole gun and everything included itself. But don't worry, I'll be making a launcher of swords, because that'd be lame as fuck otherwise if I didn't. Alright, so now it's actually time to build the Batclaw itself. Now, inspecting the Batclaw from the games, I noticed that its build isn't always like super consistent. Like for example, in some pictures the claw appears to be maybe 2.5 inches in comparison to the grapnel gun itself, and in others this thing looks like a whole ass like 5 inches. But either way, like 5 inches is a lot, like. But anyway, it looks much longer here than it does here. So I drew out some concept builds based on the individual claw and came up with something that looks like this. And I settled on making the claw closer to like 3.5 inches, being a decent and more probably realistic size for the claw. Now the thing is, when making the Batclaw, you have to consider 2 things. Well, 3, but it's like the second one and the third one are like basically the same. You want to consider the size, the weight, and the weight distribution. Because not only making it too big increase the weight, but having it look something like this would actually be cursed as fuck. And obviously being too small would create problems, especially when it comes to using the grapple hook feature that we'll get into later on. So we're going to aim to make it out of 16 gauge steel, which is pretty strong. It's actually the exact same gauge of steel that I used whenever I made my batarangs in a previous video. But I also want it to weigh closer to ½ pound. Now, putting this whole thing together would be so easy if I had like a welding kit. But see, I don't have a welding kit because that shit costs money. So the only other thing I can do is build this
in a cave with a box of scraps.
So I went into my absolute bad cave to dig around for some scrap metal and found some leftover steel that looks to be approximately 16 gauge. And I'm actually super fully convinced that I'll actually be able to make a fully functional Batclaw using some pipe 16 gauge steel and a
box of scraps.
Now I'll just have to make it in a way where the claws are designed something like this. And its design will actually kind of make sense in a second, because I clearly need to find some kind of way to keep the claws in place whenever I use it. And epoxy solutions actually aren't all that strong. So I managed to come up with a 3-piece layering system that will actually keep everything together pretty well. Alright, so listen to the vision here. So if we completely deconstruct the Batclaw, we're going to see that there are 3 separate sections. The first section over here, we're going to call Pipe A. This is meant to be the far outer layer of the Batclaw. Now, if we come over here, we're going to see another section. And this section is what I'll call Pipe B. And this part is designed to be the inner part of the Batclaw. And if we come over here, this final section is going to be the claws themselves. Now, the claws have these 2 little notches on the top and the bottom. And pipes A and B were designed so that pipe A could tightly fit over pipe B. Now, if you notice, both pipes have these lines that were cut into them. And this is because based on the way I designed the claws, once you overlap both of the pipes and secure them with something like a screw, the claws will be locked in place. this, giving me a strong, sturdy, and secure Batclaw, all without having to weld a single thing. Alright, so I think you all kind of just get the general gist of what I'm going for here. But I'll probably only be able to, like, show it better than I can, like, explain it. This is why now we're just going to build the thing. So I just started off by printing out a size-accurate claw outline, which I would trace onto the steel. I need to get about, like, 15 inches out of this. Pause. So I isolated about 15 inches out of it so I could be able to cut it and then trace it better. But after like about 10 minutes, I found that I was actually hotboxing myself unintentionally. Like, do y'all see this shit? Do y'all see this shit? Anyway, yeah, metal has been extracted, sort of. Hold on, I just gotta... all right, there we go. And I'm gonna have to hammer this back down to flatten it out because it's a little bit bent. So yeah, so I fixed that curvature to make it look far more erect, and then I cut out the claw so I could trace it onto the steel. Now I don't know if you guys understand how bitching it is to make very precise cuts with this fat ass cutting blade, but we actually managed to get it done in the end, so that's kind of all that matters. Now all I have to do is just Control C, Control V that shit, and just rinse and repeat. And then I had to sharpen each individual blade, because while that is kind of how it works in the games, you know, we actually need to have a serious talk about how this shit's actually a murder weapon. So now notice how it's fucking in his face now, right? We have a bit of the claw in his chest. Okay, cool. I have a bit of the claw in his fucking mouth. But yes, that is definitely yeah, that is definitely killing him. So this is like the other pipe that I have, right? I'm hoping that it'll like go into that hole right there. So these are the pipes that I plan to use to be the base of the Batclaw. Only challenge I really had now was cutting the pipe into equidistant thirds. So yeah, the spacing might not be too cooked, but we'll see. I'm about to be so real. Fuck the measurements. We're just gonna eyeball this shit. Yeah, so those markings look about equidistant enough to me. So I did placement testing and it didn't look too bad here. And I'm also gonna cut this pipe on for layering purposes. You'll see. So as I explained in the earlier blueprint, now we are going to be working on pipe B. This pipe is going to layer over pipe A, locking everything in place. Okay, wait, moment of truth. Let's just, oh my god, look at that. Like, just look how tight that hole is when you just stick this in it. Like, oh my god. Like, it's literally a perfect fit. Maybe I should call her. Bruh, see, I know I cheated on you like 5 times, but like, I swear, I might have given her my body, but you have my heart, okay? I might gotta find a way to like hammer this in and hopefully not fucking break it. Okay, so far, that's actually, like, stuck in there pretty well. So we're going to do a couple modifications, and I'll get right back to you. So once I was able to fit all 3 of the claws into pipe A, it was time to trace out pipe B. And I'd still have to maintain the equidistant thirds, but I would have to cut much deeper into pipe B. And every now and then I would do a gauge thickness test to make sure that the claw could go in between the parts with ease. Okay, it was, like, such a sketchy piece up, but I finally got the top piece over, and there we go. Okay, the Batclaw actually is spaced out much better now. But yeah, pretty much this thing is literally like going nowhere. So what I might do is I might just screw a screw through here so that it has no choice but to stay. But all in all, yes guys, this is the Batclaw so far. And after I was finally able to get the screw in, guys, and after all that, I present to you Batclaw version 0.5. You can probably still see why I considered it 0.5, but man, this shit look clean, bro. It's looking all like boom, boom, boom. Who goes there? I go there. I go there. Okay, so I think before we go any further, we should actually probably do a little bit of field testing on this thing. Once I find an actual field to test it in. Okay, so I'm actually about to go. Wait, what the fuck is this lighting? Holy shit. So I thought about testing the claw on this tree, but not before I actually tie a rope to this thing. Nicely. Man, who the fuck is calling me? Oh my god, bro. Fucking potential. Anyway, let me go find a tree. I guess this classic one will have to do. But there was a slight problem. All these trees kind of suck, but I'm gonna start off with like a basic groove right here. So the idea here was to see how well the claw could grapple or catch onto the tree branch. So I just manually placed it right here to see how well it could catch. Shit. And given I'm pulling this thing at almost full force, it's actually staying in place pretty well. Only issue is that the claws don't really spread enough for a proper grapple. But don't worry, because I actually plan to modify that a little bit later on. Now for this part, I wanted to see if it can support my body weight. So I want to try with that vantage point grapple that Batman does from the Arkham Games, so that's kind of what I did here. So I just found something to act as a handle, and then I just started trying to recreate this bullshit a few times. Yeah, it looks stupid, but at least it answered my question. Okay, so yeah, the hook can support my weight, so now I need to see how it'll react if I treat it as if it were a projectile. And since I didn't have my grapnel gun yet, I just strapped it onto an arrow and used my bow. So the idea is to see how well it can stick into this piece of wood. Chat, it actually stuck. I mean, it's a little bit cooked though. Yeah, I'm gonna give it another shot actually. Bro, dude, the beta hook keeps getting all sorts of fucked up and like bent and shit. So I straightened it out and gave it another shot at the exact same distance. Yeah, so like it has no problem sticking into stuff. I think this is mostly the way I kind of designed the blades the first time. Because while this was the ideal claw build, for the first build, the base was much thinner, meaning it was more prone to twist and bend up. So this time I wanted to see how well it could grab the piece of wood if it were much further away. Oh shit. Yeah, so this is what happened when I shot it from a little bit further away. Wait, let's see if the Batclaw actually clawed. Oh, yeah. Holy shit, that's in there. Bro, chat, look at that. It was literally so deep in there, it's not even crazy. All right, now, you know, that's cool and all, right? But if I just threw that on a bow and called it a day, I'd really be more Green Arrow and less Batman, you know? So that is why we're going to build a proper launcher or grapnel gun and make one as very cheap and prototype-ish as possible to be able to send this thing flying. Now, ironically enough, making the claw was actually the easy part. And if I wasn't able to shoot out of some kind of launcher or like gun, I really wouldn't be able to do like Arkham shit. You know what I'm saying? Like pulling in objects or like swinging from gargoyles and shit. So that brings me to my next part. Having to make a launcher or grapnel gun of sorts. Now, I was actually curious to know how fast this thing launches and how far it can usually reach based on the games. Now come with me as I actually kind of show you guys how the grapnel gun works. Hello, internet. Welcome to Game Theory. Now, for starters, I'm going to keep it completely a buck with you. You cannot convince me that something shooting at this speed is not a murder weapon at all. I already brought this up earlier. So look how, you know, this has clearly gone inside his body. If you guys know anatomy, you know how close that is to his jugular? And you'll still never be able to convince me otherwise. I mean, you essentially have these three knives coming at you like fast as fuck. So it's either bound to break something, deeply impale you. So finding a random point of the game, I continued to shoot the Batclaw at this wall until it reached a max distance. Meaning it was like no longer sparking off the wall. It was just like, it just reached as much as it could, then came back. And the game says it was about 48 meters. 48 meters. So 48 meters like his max distance. Now, if we convert that into feet, right? Because that's what we're gonna have to do. Now, I will tell you right now, that's no fucking 48 meters, right? The game's lie. But and that's about 157 feet away. Now, we all know 150 feet, right? Chat, does that look like 150 50 feet to you? Measure distance. We like start from there and then drag out. Right, we drag out there, distance to here. This is the average suburban yard, distance to here, right? So, okay, this is about 100 feet, right, chat? That's about the entire yard of a neighborhood, right? That is not 150 feet, okay? And that's just no fucking way. And for anyone still doubtful, this is what 100 meters of a track looks like, and this is what 157 feet compared to a 6'2" person looks like. So that's not 48 meters. Case closed.
I don't need no auto-tune. I can really sing on my own.
Now, see, I don't know about you, but games usually are on some bullshit when it comes to, like, accurate real-world measurements. So I took my pre-existing knowledge of how tall Bruce is, which is about, like, 6'2", and converted to centimeters or meters, that is about 1.87 meters. So, like, imagine if he laid down right here, and you added about 13 centimeters. Now, do note, margin of error does exist, but I know whatever I get is going to be far more accurate than whatever this game is telling me. I know this measurement scale is off, because this is not 7 meters. That is not 7 meters. Yes or no? Is that an actual 7 meters? I've seen a meter stick. That is not 7 meters. That is no 7 meters, bro. No, maybe 2. So knowing this, we could take the game saying that this is about 8 meters and translate that to being more or less closer to 4, giving us a ratio of 8 to 4 or simplified 2 to 1, meaning that whatever number we get here, we divide by 2 and that'll be our real world measurement. But honestly, as I keep going, I'm starting to become more skeptical about this math, because originally when I did it, I thought that this was 12 meters because initially I just divided everything by 4. Now looking back, it's telling me this is 24 meters, but this is what a 12.5 meter dinosaur looks like in comparison to a person. So now I'm not too sure. So we're just gonna do the math for 2 separate circumstances. One if it were 12 meters, and another if it were 24. And I'll let you guys decide in the comment section which one probably seems a bit more accurate. But I already did the math for 12 meters, so I'm gonna just show that first, because it's kind of already edited. So 48 divided by 4 equals 12. So we do the proper mathematical conversions. We take 12 meters, convert that to feet, and boom, there you go. The Batclaw reaches about 39.4 feet. But if it's 24 meters, that reaches about 78 feet. again, doesn't really seem too accurate. So I set up a stopwatch to see how long it took for the claw to reach 39.4 feet from my starting position and found that it takes nearly half a second to reach its final destination. Meaning that if we take 39.4 feet, divide that by 0.55 seconds, we do all the mathematical conversions, we find that he is shooting this shit at you at 50 fucking miles per hour. I shoot this at you at 50 miles per hour. You're fucking dead. I'm sorry. You can cope all you want. You're gonna get deeply impaled. Okay, now, here's the thing. You might not die before it comes out of you, because he always takes it out of you. And if it doesn't kill you from impalement, you're going to feel 50 miles per hour punching the fuck out of you with this much surface area. So it might just break something. But if it's 24 meters, that's even worse, because that means that he's shooting it at you at 100 miles. So remember, if you weren't deeply impaled, you get knocked the fuck out. As a matter of fact, I was even able to prove that, which you'll see later in the video. But bro, when I launched this thing, everything moved. So yeah, trying to convince me this would murder you is outrageous. I mean, Tom Brady's fastest throw is said to be like 61 miles per hour. So while getting hit with that might not kill you, it'll definitely fuck you up. So yeah, imagine that, but instead of a football, it's like 3 sharp knives flying at you with great precision. Now see, as I mentioned earlier, making the Batclaw and launching it is probably the easy part. Now, while it isn't inherently designed to just reel in things, except for the Riddler trophies, of course, but like big things, you kind of just pull on it. So, and being able to pull like a 210-pound man at 30 miles per hour, yes, we also calculated that too. We have about 26 meters, right? So 26 meters. Okay, so when I shoot it, so when it touches, I'm gonna start it, right? And start and stop. All right, 2 seconds, 2.13 seconds, right? Okay, that's not too bad. So he's essentially he's accelerating at 27 miles per hour. Okay, real shit. You would need an extremely powerful battery. Take like a car battery, I don't know, maybe multiply that by like 6 or some shit, and then shove it into something maybe the size of a quarter. Yeah, Arkham shit. Because for a motor to work that well and hard, the gearbox isn't really all that important. What is important is the current and voltage. You need something with enough current and voltage to make that shit work. And again, unless you got like $1 billion, which I sure as fuck don't have, the average Joe probably isn't gonna find that. Like, oh yeah, this thing would be extremely easy if it was powered by like an arc reactor, but yeah, we don't kind of have those. Well, remember guys, this is the absolute Batclaw, meaning we gonna get as close as possible while being broke as shit. That's what we do here. Like, how many times I gotta tell y'all, bro? Everything I do raw. But for what I was able to come up with, I don't think it not being able to have a proper winching system is a complete deal breaker, because this thing still works pretty well. But actually, there was one gadget that operated nearly like the Batclaw in the Arkham games, and its applications actually have more use here than you might think. And that's the remote claw from Arkham Origins. Now, the way this thing works more or less kind of inspired how I managed to create this. And it works by having like an overall base to hold everything and a pressure tank connected to it that launches the claw. And if you remember the scene where I was like drawing everything out earlier, I kind of had a model that looked something like that. So literally, guys, you slap a Batclaw on it, slap some rope on it, launch that, you literally have the Batclaw, like dude, like. So I would just need to create something with a pressure tank and high PSI to launch this thing hard and far. So I'm aiming for this thing to shoot about like 30 feet or more. And this meant we needed to go shopping. So I culminated a list of all the things I'd need to make a decent PVC air pressure launcher. Now I just needed to go get it.
Bist du ein King? Sunshine ist krass und es springt.
What are you doing?
No. Treat me like please. Don't get me dirty.
So first stop was Home Depot. I came here primarily to acquire the PVC pipes and a few other attachments to help put this thing together. But weirdly enough, some of these things apparently did not exist. So checking out was kind of a pain in the ass. I low-key hope I didn't accidentally steal anything, because those were like a lot of tiny ass pieces. I'm gonna be real chat. And after that, I needed to go travel to Lowe's to grab 2 more things. And once I got to Lowe's, the final things I was going to need was a pressure valve and a pressure gauge. Dog, they put this shit on the top shelf, so it all came crashing down with me, but I got the bike pump though. Max PSI of 100, which will survive. So now that I've collected everything, it was time to go home and build my, grapnel gun, I guess. Yeah, bro, we got the goddamn...
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave! With a box of scraps!
So first, by using a metal cutting saw, I cut the PVC pipe into 2 separate sections, the barrel and the air tank. The barrel being about 1 foot in length and the pressure tank being cut down to about 18 inches. Okay, so general sizing process is over. So this is gonna be the air housing chamber. This is gonna be the fuck you call this chamber. Now this was the part where I actually had to build the air tank, using some excess PVC parts and some liquid cement to keep it all together. Now I will say, for future reference and anyone watching, do not do this stuff in your bedroom because you're too lazy to go outside. These fumes will actually do some shit to you.
I'm breathing in the chemicals.
So the tank itself was done. Now I just needed to install the valve and the gauge onto it. But this part was kind of nerve-wracking because if I fucked up, I'd literally have to redo this entire thing all over again and buy new parts. Oh shit, that bitch is in. Oh, big brain. Holy shit, big brain. Just making sure everything's secure. Okay. Now this is Teflon tape, and its purpose is mostly just to make sure that everything is tightly screwed in. Okay, so that looks about good. So we're just gonna be so it's gonna be a missile. All right, check. So once that was complete, the launcher itself was pretty much done. All I needed to do was just test to see if it can actually launch them. May Rao have mercy on my soul. Now that that's all together, it's time to test this thing with the Batclaw version 0.05. Now I'm gonna do like one quick test with the claw right quick. I don't really expect it to like go far because it's not done yet, but at like a ranking of 80 PSI, let's see how hard it goes. But yeah, it didn't really go anywhere because air was mostly escaping, and there was literally no way for enough pressure to build up to be able to send this thing flying. But that could be easily rectified, because all I had to do was just wrap enough tape around the pipe and seal one of the ends with hot glue, so that like next to no air will come through here. So if I'm correct, I stuff it in the pipe. We'll do like a super low PSI first, and it should just go like pop right out and fly. I accidentally broke this earlier, so we're just gonna try a 20 PSI launch. Hey guys, Godspeed.
I'm rubbing peanut butter on my...
It went somewhere. 20 PSI, I'm not too disappointed, honestly. So to make my life like infinitely easier, I just went out and bought one of those portable tire inflators. And it was good as that this thing could actually pump up to 150 PSI. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna connect this rated 500-pound nylon rope to this claw and try to find a way to get it from like here to there. So I'll pump this thing up to 80 PSI, so let's see how it does. All right, so this is like a super ghetto ripcord I created, so that when it's time to launch, I can just pull it really hard, and depending on how hard I pull it, that means it'll go further. Because aside from PSI, the two secrets to making this thing propel far is making it as airtight as possible, but also find a way to increase the speed at which all the air can escape. So if it can all escape at the same time, that thing is flying. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, it's actually like not super bad distance, but actually on my Instagram, I did a trial run of this, and it actually managed to go much further in my backyard. So I'm gonna try to do that. And I think the secret just came down to how quickly and hard I yanked the valve. Okay, that went a lot further. So I think at this point, it mostly just came down to how hard I was pulling on the valve, because the distances weren't always super consistent. However, I think I was able to get a max distance of about 30 feet out of it. So not too bad, but I'm not quite done yet. As remember earlier, I said I wanted to upgrade my Batclaw so that I could hook onto things better. Well, that's what we're going to do next. So first, I'm gonna improve the Batclaw, and that's by updating the first claw and giving them better hooks as well as a thicker base. So I just printed it out and did that entire 3-hour process that I did earlier all over again. And bro, this shit shut up look like a boom. So I redid all the things like sharpening them, polishing them, and making a completely new base for this Batclaw. And once everything was complete, I assembled all the parts together, and now I'd like to show you the Batclaw version 1.0.
What is the next step of the operation?
Chat, it's actually digging at me, bro. It's digging at me. This is the original model, and this is the more cleaned up model. You can see this one is much more sleek and like put together. Final thing I had to do was just finish putting together the grapnel gun, slapping a handle on it, which I harvested from a old drill, modifying the tubing, and adding a ripcord to it. Guys, it's like 80% complete, but I present to you the Batclaw. Holy shit, bro. This thing actually looks clean as fuck.
What is the next step of the operation?
Yo, Yo, bro, now that this thing's complete, I gotta, like, sit here and intimately inspect it like he does in the game. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like, whenever he gets a new gadget and he just goes, like... So now that I finished the Batclaw, the only thing left to do now is to do some field testing. So I made a list of all the things I need to do with this Batclaw. First, I need to be able to shoot this into something like this box and pull it down as if it were a wall. Next, I need to test if it can actually pull something pretty heavy like this tire. Next, I'm gonna go find a vantage point and see how well I can swing from it. And lastly, I need to collect at least one Riddler trophy. Let the games begin. So first thing on my list to do, I'm going to test how far this thing can launch. 3, 2. Oh shit! I think it could go further. Smell that barrel, bro. Smell it.
Yeah,
that's pure CO2, guys. So the launch was pretty satisfactory. It looked like I was able to get about 20 to 25 feet out of it, which honestly isn't that bad. It mostly stopped primarily because it ran out of rope, but still. So Batclaw launch complete. Now it's time to see what we're able to shoot it into. So first, I want to try shooting it into this wood plank, the same one we successfully shot it into earlier. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh. 3, 2, 1. Motherfucker, bro. 2. Ready. 3, 2. Yeah, it definitely fucking broke off the wood, but in terms of it like sticking in, like, okay, maybe like 1 foot away from it. Alright, I'm gonna just swap it out for this cheap ass piece of wood here. 2. You see like the 3 points right here? Like, yeah, it literally matches up with every spot that the claw hit. But I consistently noticed this trend that every time I shot the claw, for whatever reason, it would start to turn sideways. Now, I have a few theories as to why this happens. It probably has to do with either weight distribution, probably the way I hold the launcher, or probably due to lack of proper angular momentum. Because angular momentum is the exact reason why spiraling a football is so crucial to it traveling straight. And this even applies to bullets. Or perhaps there's just insufficient pressure behind the launch. And this bow had a drawback of about 70 pounds. And that's a lot of weight behind this. Because I did notice that later on, whenever I pulled the valve quicker and spiraled the rope around the claw, it usually shot straighter. So that's what I'm attempting to go for here. See, my problem is I keep stepping on like this access like rope and then it just keeps throwing it off track, so... Okay, yeah, so this one's actually being very difficult. So I just decided to swap it out for a cardboard box, see how much luck we can get with that. Bro, like, the claw went in, but literally from the back. Only thing left to do now is just, like, drag it towards me. Yeah, I think it was mostly my yank speed, because I find, like, the harder I yank it, the more air that comes out. So yeah, that thing managed to claw in there pretty well. Ready? 3. Holy shit,
damn.
wait, and? Ah!
Okay.
Batclaw! Deep. Oh my, still fucking seamless, bro. Holy shit, dude. That was actually fucking... Wait, look at that back, look at that back. Oh my god. So I'd consider its ability to claw into things pretty satisfactory. Now, while I would have liked for it to go into the wood, I guess that's just something I'll need to upgrade in the future.
Next time, baby.
Now to see if it can actually pull pretty heavy objects, like this 200-pound tire right here. Which side will be our money winner? Okay, so I'm gonna try to aim the claw, shoot it in there, and like pull it like a couple inches towards me. That's kind of the idea here. 2, 1. It's too fucking short.
Like the same distance?
No, but I gave it more rope though.
Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1. I fucking 1. Oh, got it. Okay, and. Okay, it moved 1 inch. I think we're good. It's still completely like it's unbit pretty much. However, this one It might be, you know, this shit could be straight. Pulling objects, satisfactory. Now, this next part is my favorite, because now we're going to a random field to test the grapple feature and see if I could swing off this overhang. Let's do it. All right, guys, so here's the deal. So I think, like, if I go, like, boom, it should lock around. Thing is, I would need, like, a vantage point to swing off of. In theory, would we get cooked if we put the car here for like 3 seconds? Okay, this is the gameplay. This is the gameplay. This is the gameplay. We're gonna fill up the launcher in the car. We're gonna drive it here super fast, and then I'm gonna grapple up there and swing to that fence, and then we could and then you could drive it back before you get caught. All right, cool. Let's do it.
They just got that grass cut. You can drive it on the
Man, it'll grow back. It's just grass. Holy fuck, the off-road of doom. Oh, quick, ow.
I was on my third.
I wonder if it needs to be closer. 2, 1.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh, we got it.
Oh, caught.
You'd be closer.
Yeah, we need to bring this car in closer. Oh, no, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Ah, damn it.
Nigga, come on, bro.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
They're caught. All right.
All right, come on, bro.
Tally ho.
Oh shit. Yo.
Yo, did you see that? Hold on.
That was dope.
I'm gonna swing from a different angle. Hold on.
Yes.
Oh. Flat. Okay. Ready?
Yeah. Oh shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to wrap around fully because that was just a grip problem.
God.
Alright, so I'd say swinging from a vantage point was pretty satisfactory. Now it's actually time to use this for some real stuff. I'm gonna need to use the Batclaw to collect the Riddler trophy. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so game plan. I'm gonna use that to collect this high-speed metal projectile versus this very glass Riddler trophy. Like, bro, what could go wrong? But literally as I was trying to film this part, my portable air compressor broke. So I couldn't do it. Warranty, bitch! And they sent me a new one the next day. And then once I'm done, I'm sending them both back. I am the one, the way your son don't need the guns. I think it's collected. So all in all, I think that we did some pretty solid work here today. I think we can easily save this one for the books. But see, I'm far from finished because guys, I don't know if I told you this already, but this is just a prototype. And even as we're speaking, I figured out ways to make this thing much more compact. Now this is the part of the video I usually dread because now I'm gonna have to plug everything in a very short amount of time. But if you guys did enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with post notifications on so that you never miss an upload. Because 1, it's free. 2, it takes like 5 seconds. And 3, because bro, we're always getting into some like crazy shit here on the channel. But if you did enjoy this video and want to see more of me, there are actually 2 things you can do. First, you can go follow my Instagram, link down in the description, where I do post behind the scenes update as well as general cool shit from time to time. And also, if you want to see more of me, you can go subscribe to my other channel, Jafonzilla, where I oftentimes stream and upload different types of content there. Ah! Oh shit! I low-key don't like this, bro. What the fuck? Harder, bro, harder. Oh, you made it weird. I'm going. And also, if you like what I do, consider becoming a channel member for only $2.99 a month. Like, guys, that's literally less than like a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. And even access to certain types of videos early. Also, a special shout out to my channel members, and an honorable mention to Muddy Tacoma. Lastly, I will be dropping a Discord at 25k, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, I'm gonna head out of here now. Oh, and if I hear on the news that someone was terrorizing a group of people with a Batclaw, I swear to God, I'm gonna...